Starting to fall in love with the pain just to, feel human. And we all try to run away from that feeling. But at the end of the day, that's what makes us human, is being able to feel.
I feel like we should have done this podcast shirtless, crank the aircon up. And
yeah. Where's the ice button?
All right. Alex Hayes.
We're on.
Good to have you here, mate.
Welcome to Defiant Talk, mate.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, awesome.
That's the thing when you start getting a bit of fame. Everyone calls you by your full name, Alex Hayes. It's not just Alex anymore.
What are the nicknames? Hazy?
My nicknames, Hazy, when I was in school, it was Nemo.
Yeah.
Were you?
Yeah, because I did a swimming kind of with a little Nemo cap.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting, man. So how was your day this morning?
Good. Woke up, did a meditation, went for a run. I've been trying to work off the silly season habits.
Yeah.
So getting into a good groove. But
you just made a move up north, right? You no longer live in Sydney.
yeah, so I moved out of my little bubble and I'm in Kingscliff, which is north coast New South Wales. It's 10 minutes from the Queensland border and it's a great little area. Good surf, good friends up there, and it's nice.
Awesome, man. And you're doing some DJing as well, I've been seeing on the socials.
Yeah, been really enjoying that. Queensland's had some really good luck with all the COVID, and the bars and nightclubs have been kind of pumping up there for 4 months. So been having some good weekends, and now I think New South Wales is coming back and just keen to start playing as much as I can and releasing music.
Coming back, right?
Awesome,
yeah.
Yeah. So surfer, YouTuber, DJ, producer, adventurer, about to become a TV celebrity as well. What can you do, mate? Can you cook?
Homework. Could never do homework. There's lots I can't do for sure. Yeah, I'm very excited to do shit to push myself.
Very
Awesome,
nice,
man.
Take us back to some of the early days. I mean, you're still quite young, but so it's probably fresh in your mind. But yeah, take us back, man. How did it all start for you with your social presence and gaining a following? How did it all kick off? Yeah.
Yeah, it was really. A lot of it's luck and a lot of it is right place, right time. I was born in this certain time in this generation that social media has become a thing. And luckily with, surfing being kind of my main sport growing up, as well as surf lifesaving nippers, I was doing a lot of surf competitions and traveling a fair bit. And then that was kind of the rise of Facebook and then the Instagrams and stuff. So I was always documenting. And ever since I was younger, I've always had a camera with me and always been jumping off cliffs and doing stuff that could get me in trouble and just filming it pretty much. And when I got to travel, there was that whole travel phase going on. And so I was just kind of a product to that little phase that was going on. And I guess I gained a bit of a following, and through all the lessons I've learned from people I've met and the opportunities that come along with social media, I've been able to kind of turn it into some other areas and other adventures in life. And yeah, it's kind of crazy to think
man.
I'm here.
Awesome. So would you say that you were the cool kid at school, or?
No, definitely not. I was far from it, really. I was actually really bullied in school.
Right.
I was always kind of the outside kid. I was just I went to a real footy school, a real private school as well. And everyone, if you didn't play footy and if you weren't academically blessed, who were you kind of thing. And so I was just the surfer. I did nippers. I was going to the beach in my Speedos. And back then it wasn't cool. So I guess I was just an easy target for people to kind of reflect their insecurities towards. And I only realized that in hindsight. And when I was that age and didn't really know where I was going or what I was doing, it was kind of hard. But it's all those troubles that have built the strong values I have today.
So take us back to those actual moments. What was going through your mind as a kid? How did you kind of overcome that? And what were some of the major lessons for you to be able to be resilient and actually keep pursuing your dream?
I guess just that we can always get through it. There was a lot of times when I was younger that I had a lot of doubt in myself and my potential because of the external. And I guess I just had to always have faith that even though I didn't know where I was going, if I just continued going in that direction, it'll be okay. And so I just kind of just kept going. And
what did that inner dialogue look like for you?
Some questions don't need to be answered because if you just keep going and you keep believing, it will be okay.
Love that, man. And when you sort of started getting a bit of popularity and things like that, did you feel like a shift? Was it like a moment where you felt like, coming up through school, the bullying was a big thing, but did you feel like, all right, cool, now people are starting to see what I do and things are changing? Was it like a moment or?
For sure. It wasn't really there was, if I can think of one moment, it's when I would go out when I was younger to parties, which wouldn't happen too much because it would often end in people chasing me and honestly, like people wanted to bash me. And like I was always a small kid. I didn't really have the crew that I'm lucky to have now. And not that we're going out to get in fights or anything, but when you're that age and you have a lot of 14, 15-year-old dudes going out to parties, getting drunk for their first times, and they have a lot of like testosterone, they want to get in fights because it's cool. And I was always just like the easy target. And I was kind of always just trying to avoid that situation. And I guess it was when I left school and started to have a bit of a following that I would go out and then I'd see a group of guys come up to me and I'm like, oh, fuck, like not again. Yes. And then they're like, oh, Alex, can we get a photo with you? And I'm like, are you sure?
What just happened?
Like, what's just happening? So I guess those little moments were definitely a shift. But I don't know. It's just weird.
That's it, man. I think like you also going about things the way you did and really, building yourself, like it's given you a lot of confidence as well. So, when you're like a younger kid that's getting bullied, you're kind of an easy target when you don't have self-confidence. But I think you being able to launch a career and do great things, you walk around with that sort of...
it's inspirational for yourself and for others around you.
And it was just like, in that time, I always had the confidence, but it was so masked by my insecurities and my doubt of like, is this confidence or is this just like... I guess, I don't know, what's the word? I'm lost, but just like I didn't...
Are you dismissing your own feelings?
Yeah, like just my head was in the clouds and just didn't... And I wasn't even here in the moment. I was just thinking about how am I going to survive school and how am I going to survive getting home to my parents because I'm not really academically blessed. And I'm like... Well, not that I wasn't academically blessed. I just honestly didn't care about school at all. I just... Something deep down knew that what I was doing, if I had to study stuff, it's just like something was dragging me away from it and to go do other things. And... I don't recommend that to everyone. I just, I'm very fortunate for me, but...
Were your parents aware of what was actually going on?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I have very supportive parents, but I was also... One of the coping mechanisms for me was to... If I can't fit in, I need to try to be cool. And then when you're going through those stages, often to be cool, you're getting in trouble. And so I would always just try to get in trouble and I'd always just in school be getting, detentions. And I got into drugs. I was like 14 and got asked to leave and... Just a lot of things that I thought would make me cool, but it made my home life harder, it made my school life harder. It's just like,
So would you say that, extreme sports was then a progression to like from being bullied to wanting to be cool?
Yeah,
or
because
was it something that was always within you?
To push myself has always been within me, but I used action sports and especially like surfing big waves. It's always been like a bit of a fuck you, There's always that element to like, fuck you. If you're always talking shit, telling me I'm a pussy, telling me I can't do shit, I generally just do it because I love it and there's no better feeling than when you're thinking about nothing else than just performing at your best and being in the present moment. But yeah, it's taken a long time for me to realize that.
Yeah, man. So after school, like what happened after school? Have you ever worked or has it always been your own, your own hustles? Like, talk to us about that.
Yeah, I mean, I did have a job. I had a couple of jobs when I was younger, like working at a cafe, cleaning dishes, and me and Nick Paul worked together. We worked for the Manly Seagulls.
Nick Paul is one of our staff here at Defiant.
Yeah, who's also been one of my longest best friends. And we used to work in the merchandise for Manly Seagulls and like go to the games and stuff. Yeah, it was good fun. And I guess when I started to get some social media gigs, like getting some paid posts and stuff, I'm like, I'm getting $250 to do an Instagram post. Like, that's a week's work. Like, what? I'm following this. And then, so when I left school, I traveled a fair bit and met other like-minded individuals that kind of opened my mind to what's possible. Because Australia is a little bit behind, and I moved over to LA when I was like 18, and just it's like the hub. It's like the university of social media, pretty much.
So much opportunity over there.
Yeah, so I just went sponge mode over there and just saw the potential. And
is it true that you were signed to Jay Alvarez for a while?
Yeah, we had a little agreement with a business that he started with his business partner, but that ended a while ago.
Okay.
And like, who's your team? Do you have like a manager? Do you have like a content team? I've always been like fascinated with like, how much content you put out. To me, it seems like, probably to others as well, it seems like you might have like a team that helps you edit everything, or is it just yourself?
Yeah, I grew up editing, so editing was
second nature.
Right. Editing videos has always been I love it, but it wasn't until about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I tested, working with editors and working with a lot of people, but editing's always kind of been my thing as well. But I'm looking to expand into a team, and that's always the goal for sure, to have a little family that share the same goal and just keep making content that hopefully inspires people.
Awesome. So you manage all your own like affairs, all your deals, everything like that. You do it all yourself, or do you have another team that sort of does that side of things?
I've worked with a few teams. At the moment, I'm working with Two Palms,
Okay.
but that's only recent. So the past couple of years, I've been mainly independent and always.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always at the end of the day, I'm always the person that makes the last decision for my brands and my work. So, but I'm really happy to be working with Two Palms at the moment.
Awesome, man. So what does a day in the life of Alex Hayes look like?
So spontaneous. I don't know. I often try.
I mean, it looks like it from your social media.
Yeah, I mean, I think I try to balance my spontaneity with organization because I'm the most unorganized person in the world.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to work on it. But mornings, no matter what, I try to work on the mind and work on the body and just kind of have a good start with momentum for the day.
Do you have a morning ritual that's very specific?
Not too specific. It's kind of like I have a menu of things I can do that'll make me feel good. And it's like the breathing, the meditations, the exercise. Like this morning I woke up, first thing I did was a 20-minute meditation and then went for a run, and I hate running, but I went for a run and then played chess actually.
Awesome,
nice.
man.
Yeah, I like to play chess in the mornings.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, I actually wanted to delve a little bit deeper into the breathing because I've seen that you tend to jump in an ice bath every morning.
Yeah.
And I read a quote from Wim Hof a while back where he talks about the cold being an absolute doorway to the soul. Can you talk to us about that and the ice bath on a daily basis?
Yeah, I've been very inspired by Wim Hof for many years now. I think it was about 4 years ago that I discovered his work and discovered his his purpose and the breathing and the breath and how we can all unlock that part of our brain that it unlocks that presence. And I hate cold, but it's been something
Who doesn't?
Yeah, I know. I mean, we all hate cold, but it's like we're naturally acclimatized to be able to withstand cold and withstand harsh conditions. So over the generations, this is what Wim Hof speaks about. We've gained this comfort bubble, like from clothes, from air, from like heaters to having everything to rely on because we feel uncomfortable. But you got to dive straight into that uncomfortable feeling to then feel like I don't know, it's like this. When I'm in an ice bath and my whole body is saying, get out, like my mind's screaming, get out. And then I pass that minute and I'm breathing, I'm slowing my heart rate down and then I feel peace. And then it's
that
like
monkey mind, right?
Yeah, and it's like I'm in this other zone where time doesn't matter, but I'm right here and I'm just like, the pain's gone. And it's like starting to feel in love, it's starting to fall in love with the pain just to, feel human. And we all try to run away from that feeling, but at the end of the day, that's what makes us human, is being able to feel.
I feel like we should have done this podcast shirtless, crank the aircon up and
Where's the ice bath?
That's good, man.
Awesome,
That's
man.
Good. I'm really interested in hearing about the daily living. It's just such a cool brand, the way you guys are sort of presenting it. I heard you talking about it as well in the office before, but how did that come about? And, what's the sort of vision for that brand?
And it's recently been picked up by The Iconic as well, right?
Yeah. So
That's
we
great.
did a run with them, but the daily living, it started off as just my second Instagram that I wanted to post a lot of content that I didn't want to post on my main. Is that, when you do social media, sometimes you become a perfectionist. And so I wanted to post all my action sports onto the daily living. And then furthering on, now it's the whole purpose of this is to make content and make clothing and make anything that inspires people to live daily and just take every day as it is. And because you just tomorrow never comes and it's never, it can never be taken for granted. So it's like, if you're not living every single day and every minute, and that doesn't mean like not going to work. It doesn't mean not doing things that are hard. It means like doing the things that are hard, doing things that are good for you, but enjoying it.
Yeah.
And and really, only you can answer that if you're really enjoying it. And so that's the brand, is to push that.
That's awesome, man. And so The Iconic, how did that come about? They just kind of get in touch with you? Was it a connection you had? Or?
Yeah, it was a connection. I'm with a friend who's working for him, and we did a run with him last year. And it's kind of cool. It's just to have that, I guess, that credibility attached to it now because I am known as just that influencer and that influencer who does merch. And it's not my merch. This is my baby that I want to make bigger than myself, to then have its own momentum to really inspire millions of people around the world. It's got nothing to do with me. It's just something that I believe in, that I believe can happen.
Yeah.
And so it's just, I'm trying to break it out of it being attached to being my merch, but to being a brand that I'm a part of that I believe in.
That's so inspiring, man.
And do you design everything or?
Yeah. So I kind of
gotta say
everything.
no.
You're wearing it right now.
Yeah. I'm wearing it right now. Yeah, this is it. This is Smiley. It's all about being a little bit wild, but being good, being present, and being happy.
Awesome, man.
So for an adventurer like yourself, how's this COVID thing? I mean, having to be in Australia and not being able to go overseas and probably chase some of the biggest waves in the world. How are you coping with it?
I've been so blessed. I mean, Australia is one of the best countries in the world, I must say. And whenever I would travel for long periods of time, I'd always really look forward to coming home. And it's been quite nice because I have been traveling full on since I left school. And I never really had the chance to get into a good routine at home. And it's almost like when I left school, I was like in denial of my past life because it was like I was going through a bit of shit with all the bullying and stuff. So I was like, I'm going to leave that life behind, go travel, go experience stuff. And I did experience a lot. But when I come home, I would have this weird attachment to the negatives of it. And so it's taken me spending a lot of time at home and breaking out of that old cycle to really be so grateful for it and so grateful to be here and then just to create foundations for my life that I can then go travel again in future years. But I want to build this brand, I want to make my music and I train to be my best physical and mental self so I can go chase waves and do all the action sports. And it's taken me being grounded to really like make that an effort.
So obviously you talk about the negatives that you sort of did experience. Now you've kind of overcome that, but I'm sure there's a lot of negatives to the sort of influencer status and that side of things too. What do you find challenging about your sort of new perspective on life? What do you find challenging about that?
No matter what in this life, it's very easy to fill your mind with doubt, and because no one ever really knows. It's all just intuition for me at this point. And there's times where I doubt my intuition, and it's just takes me like metaphorically hitting my brain with a shoe, hitting my head with a shoe to be like, no, snap out of it. Like you're on the right path. And I guess to answer your question, the negatives attached to being an influencer is me being young. I'm growing up. I've got a lot to learn, and I've got a lot of mistakes to make as well. And it's like to do that, knowing that I have a 500,000 people plus
watching,
looking at me and are waiting for an update in a way, and update my current self in a digital form. But also, like by the time I've updated that, I've grown. So I'm like questioning whether I'm believing in that anymore. So it's like the past year, I've actually had a real break. I've had like a social media gap year, and really just moved out of home and living up the coast, just moving around trying to find my flow. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I was constantly having to revolve my life around updating my personality on social media.
Making content all the time, like just staying top of mind, fresh.
Yeah, so I just need it because it's been literally my life since I started, just revolving around social media and updating that. So I needed to just really distance myself from it and break into my own flow and just grow up a little bit as an adult. 22 now and turning 23, and I've lived my whole life.
Get in there, mate.
I know. Having kids soon.
You never know, right?
Do you have a relationship? Like
no, I'm single as.
Single as.
Yeah. But
awesome, man.
just it's a personal choice. I'm always open to it, but I just, as I say, I've got a lot of growing up to do, and it's
So it was music, like I've seen obviously the past kind of 2 years or so roughly, like you've been pretty focused on the music. Is that part of that growth as well, or just something that you wanted to try like creatively? Or
because you started off as a DJ, right? And then now moving into production?
Well, I remember being like 12 and there was a school dance and I saw the DJs and I want to do that. And so I learned.
It's so cool.
I know, it's so cool. Like fuck, that's so good. I was on virtual DJ. So I did start just like messing. We all know virtual DJ. And I started messing around with some decks and stuff, but through video editing, actually, you got to have quite a high understanding on music and timing and structure. And I've just always had such a connection with music because I grew up singing as well. And my older brother Josh, is a really good singer because our parents got us into music early. And then I kind of gave singing up when I was early because I was getting bullied for it as well.
Yeah.
And
so you can sing as well?
Not anymore.
What can't you do,
my
mate?
voice jobs. I'm telling you, homework. But I've just always had this connection with music. And so I thought that videos, you have a limit with the stories you can tell. And because you're working with something, you're already working with something that you filmed. But music, there's no limit. There's only sounds that you can tamper and make. The ceiling is limitless. So to mix the video side of myself and the music side of myself, combining them, it's all just to connect, to make storytelling the priority.
Nice, man. So is music a big focus for you in your career as well? Like where do you want to take that?
Yeah, sorry, I just realized I didn't answer your question.
Yeah, no, that's all right.
And Jamie's asking because he's made it quite big as a producer back in the day. So
Back in the day,
Yeah.
had my heyday. It's long gone now.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, I'm not approaching it with any expectation. I just really enjoy making music, and I'm very happy with what I've made so far. I'm sitting on like 18 tracks, and I guess at this point, because I don't want to work with labels, and I believe in fully just, we're living in the generation of independence. So it's like, for me to release music, I need to create my own label, and just, there's a lot of things I got to do, but it's all the process. And
you've got a label, don't you?
Yeah, still going in the background. But no, I think that's actually the best time of your career, where there's no expectations, there's no labels hounding you down to get stuff on time. So I think that was my favorite part of my career, the first like early stage when I was producing a lot and with no real sort of expectation. Yeah, when you got the pressure on you to hit a release date, you kind of I guess stunts your
like blocks the
creativity.
creative side of your brain in a way. Yeah, for
you get
sure.
a bit of creative block. So enjoy that, man. It's good.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to go back to like you talking about intuition. So you mentioned that you had a bit of a break from social media. At what point do you follow that intuition, and at what point do you go, no, I need to be disciplined and keep putting content out at scale because that's my job?
I've kind of flipped that switch. This year, I really plan on bringing all my priorities back to the content, because that is kind of the heart of my career. It's how I started. It's how I'm here. If I'm not making content, I'm not using my platforms enough to push my music, to push the day living, and to push the action sports I do. And it just all comes back and the past year, the content's just kind of been up there just to get by and just, I didn't completely ghost it, but I just was just doing it blindly, But it's funny because the whole year I've always told myself like, I should be posting, I should be doing this, I got to update. It's just that little thing in my brain. It's like, it's okay. It's always going to be there, and at the end of the day, like if algorithms are getting worse and blah, 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 like all these excuses to why I should be posting now and not in the future, it's just like, I need to work on my talent and myself. And if I'm my best self, it's going to happen one way or another. It's just having faith in that.
For someone, like I'm sure there's a lot of people that kind of follow you and see what you're doing and probably thinking like, how can I get a start? Like how can I create this kind of lifestyle for myself? What are, like, I know it's a very broad question, but what are some tips for people to get started?
Find something you believe in and learn to communicate it, and just make it about that and not make it about the following.
Strong.
Very strong.
Yeah.
That's a one-liner.
It's a mic drop right there. That's awesome, man.
Awesome, man. I wanted to talk a little bit about fear. So how do you overcome that? I mean, again, you skydive by yourself. You're surfing some of the biggest waves in the world. How do you feel any fear? How do you deal with it?
100%. And it's often hard to choose whether it's fear I'm listening to or it's my intuition saying don't do it. And I feel like it's just finding the fine line between that. But man, I was scared of the dark till I was 14, and I was like terrified I had to go into my mum and dad's room sometimes and be like, I'm fucking terrified, man. Scared of the dark.
Yeah.
But so fear's always been present in my life, but I've become addicted to the idea of overcoming that fear and to let it turn into excitement. And just having faith in my abilities to do what I plan on doing and not letting the fear control me, I guess.
So what's been your craziest like stunt or thing that you've done where you've just been like absolutely shitting yourself?
You're like, why am I doing this? Like, am I insane? Or
It's not necessarily like something as crazy, but asking myself the question of why am I doing this is I ran a marathon 2 years ago after, like, I'm not a runner, I'm a water boy naturally. And I'd never run anything further than 14 kilometers. But I was at that point in time, I was listening to David Goggins' audiobook, Can't Hurt Me.
Amen.
Yeah, amen, dude. And I just reached in that cookie jar and I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to sign up for this marathon in a week. And I was terrified, and I was halfway through it. I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, I'm not cut out for this, but it's because I was asking myself those questions. I'm telling myself those questions that, yes, got to push through. And it just comes down to that ultimate meaning of you can get through anything if you just tell yourself you can, no matter what.
Yeah. I've been there myself, running a marathon, and you get past that, 23K mark and you get into some dark places where you're just like, is this even worth it? And I think kind of pushing through that monkey mind and allowing yourself to actually discover more of yourself through that pain and the run is really where it's at, man. So I mean, most of our listeners, we'd assume, have an entrepreneurial background. What would you say to someone who's fearful of, reaching out to someone to get that next job or to try that new business or to maybe try surfing for the first time? How do they overcome that fear?
I just think it's whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. And it's just, I don't know, the answer's always no if you don't ask. There's several things you could say to quote it, but it's just like, we're going to die. We're going to die. Literally, at one point in our life, we're going to die.
Yeah.
And before you die, if you have time to think, you got to ask yourself, why didn't I do that?
Yeah. Solid.
Absolutely amazing, man.
That's awesome, man. Celebrity Apprentice. Can you talk about that yet?
Yeah. Or
Awesome.
I can talk about the experience. I can't talk about the result. But
Yeah.
Incredible experience.
How did that come about?
They reached out to me on email, and to be honest, funny story. When I learned it was Celebrity Apprentice, because I don't watch TV at all.
Yeah.
I thought it was The Block, because I thought it was like
I'm
Apprentice.
gonna have to go build.
I'm going to go on that show. It's The Apprentice, because I was like going to go build stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it because it'll be funny. I'll just talk about my brand and some TVs. It's a whole market of people that the older generation that I can kind of expand some sort of consciousness and bring some sort of light. And I guess I signed up to it, and then Ed, my manager, called me and was like, dude, do you know what it is? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go build houses. And it's like, oh.
Build houses.
Yeah, so I just did it. It was a great experience. All the cast were great humans and
nice,
built some great friendships.
So did you win?
I won because I got on it,
I love that.
So how long were you guys filming for?
Like 3 months.
3 months. Is it like 3 months straight, like every single day, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's busy weeks, very busy. It's like full on. It's very full on.
Okay.
I gotta watch what I say. I'm so bad. But it was an incredible experience, and I learned a lot in the business world, and it's a cool show.
So do you plan to take anything that you learned from that and apply it, back to daily living or maybe some other ventures?
Yeah, 100%. I think what was really cool about the show is because it's business challenges, and there's the two teams, and when you get given the challenge, you have to go back to your team and you allocate positions, and then you work together, and it's like all teamwork. And I guess I'm taking that aspect and bringing it into the daily living, because this year I really plan on building a team and delegating positions and jobs. And
going back to the fact that you said that you're not very much organised as a person.
Exactly.
That's been a real challenge for you.
Yeah, and it's just like finding the people that can reflect my weaknesses with their strengths and work off each other. And I read parts of a really good book recently called The Dichotomies of Leadership by Jocko Willink. And it's all his army situations turned into metaphors for business.
He was a Navy SEAL, right?
Yeah. So he talks about situations in the war where teamwork is like life or death, and bringing that into the workplace, it's the exact same.
It's all about like accountability and
Yeah. It's good. So I learned a lot from those experiences.
What do the next few months look like for you?
Next few months, man. I mean, it's been an interesting, because I have literally just come off, let's call it a social media gap year, and I've had a lot of fun. I've been DJing a fair bit up the coast, and I've been partying a little bit, but I'm really bringing myself back to this good flow, because I went sober for a year and a half.
Yeah,
okay. And
I'm going through that now.
Yeah, sick. How long?
13 days in.
Oh, I'm sick, dude. I'm 3 days in. But yeah, no. So I was in a really good flow back then, but let myself go a little bit, and now I'm just bringing myself back into that, real discipline, discipline and skill mindset. And being battling these 2 injuries has kind of been annoying, because I haven't been able to do all the exercise that I like. Yeah. Because I hate running. Yeah. So I'm literally been running every day. But
do you usually do a bit of gym? What is your exercise routine like?
I do a lot of paddling, like on
stand
like
up,
not stand up, but like 12-foot prone paddleboard, like paddling on your knees and on your stomach, and swimming. Swimming's kind of I was doing swimming squads when I grew up to do surf life saving, because before surfing, I should have touched this earlier. Surf life saving and Ironman stuff was my sport. I was addicted to it, and it was very competitive.
So was that the dream, or were you?
It was, until I found surfing was cooler. But now I'm older, I'm like, fuck it. Like they're the fittest people in the world, those Ironmen. So I was in love with that, and so I really bring a lot of the training I used to do now into how I train when I'm not injured, which is rare.
So next couple months is just like getting back into the health routine.
Yeah. Sorry, I keep forgetting. You ask great questions, then I just go on tangents. And then,
no, I mean, that's the beauty of it, right?
Yeah, 100%. But no, the goal is to just set up the foundations and release music and just release some more clothing with the Daily Living. We're going to bring it off the iconic. When's this coming out? I'm just going to funnel everything through the Daily Living website and have that as the main and the only place we can get it, and just have everything ready before the show goes live in like, I don't know, soon.
Yeah.
And just if I'm not, I just got to be prepared for that, because that's an opportunity for eyes to come onto my profile. And if I don't have my shit sorted, then that's my loss, really.
So this is a segment of the podcast that we call the Rocket Fire questions. So it's basically 10 questions back to back that we'd like answers to. So Jamie, maybe you can kick it off with the first one.
Yep. So first one is, if you could turn back time and change one thing in your journey, what would it be?
I wouldn't.
Awesome.
At all? You wouldn't change one thing?
I love it.
I mean, I made a shit move in chess this morning, but
Awesome, man. We should have had a chessboard right here.
Yeah, I've got one in the car.
Maybe next time or after the podcast, we'll play a little game.
Yeah.
So what's the first thing that you do when you wake up every morning?
Breathe or meditate.
What does that practice kind of look like?
It's just because it's not the first thing I want to do.
Yeah.
And it's such a good thing to do.
Next one's, who are your 3 dream dinner guests, dead or alive, and why?
Oh gosh. Jesus.
It's a tricky one. I think
David Goggins.
David Goggins. I think David Goggins is great. Yeah. David Goggins, Wim Hof, and Justin Bieber.
Love it. Why Justin Bieber?
Because on a major scale, like I'm like one thousandth. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
On his level, but he was in the spotlight from a very young age, and he obviously took his breaks too, and he's come out of that whole, part of his life. It's such an inspiring human, and I think he's just got a lot to give.
Yeah.
Would you say he was an inspiration for you growing up?
For sure, yeah, because I love music and I love singing, and then I wanted to be him when I was like 12, and he's just releasing his first songs, but because I was too scared of opinions and too insecure, I stopped it. But
I love that, man. So what's the last new thing that you've tried?
The last thing that I've tried?
Yeah, the last new thing that you've tried.
The last new thing that I tried. I learnt wakeboarding. Like at the end of last year.
So was that recent? Because I've been watching your Instagram art videos. You look like a pro, man.
Well, I've got my friend mates, Harley Clifford and Corey Tunison, that have been teaching me. They've been awesome. But yeah, I learned that last year. It's more of a hobby. But also chess. I've played chess and I've learnt from a young age, but not until recently I've really taken the element of chess into life and just planning ahead and being organized and just, thinking moves ahead.
What's one book that you could recommend?
Wim Hof's book, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
I've got that. I haven't started it yet.
Yeah, it's great.
Probably bring it in the office.
Yeah,
It's awesome. It's amazing. It's incredible.
What's the best advice that you've ever received?
Once you realize you're a fool, what did I get told? Oh, clearly it wasn't that good. I can't remember.
I mean, it doesn't have to be a one-line.
Yeah, okay. Just be present.
Yeah, be present.
Yeah.
This is a bit of a curveball one, but when you reach the pearly gates of heaven, what do you want him to say to you when he greets you?
Good shit, bruh. I'm like, yeah, dude. I want him to say, you did more than we thought you could.
Yeah.
I love that, man. So which is a great segue into the next question. What drives you daily to be the best version of yourself? Chess.
It's what drives me daily to be the best version of myself. It's just, if I really want to make an impact in this world, if I'm not my best self, then I'm not going to make as much of an impact as I want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. And what type of impact do you want to make?
Just a positive one.
Yeah. Awesome, man.
Hopefully not COVID positive. Super spreader. Okay.
And this is the last question.
Yeah. So what does the word defiant mean to you?
Defiant.
Yeah.
Doing things that you believe in and letting your actions define you as a person.
That's a new tagline.
Yeah. Use it for the brand.
Yeah.
Love it, man. So this is essentially kind of like the end of the podcast. Where can people find you? How can they connect with you online?
Just Alex Hayes, AlexHayes. And yeah.
Too easy, man.
Awesome, man.
And it's been an absolute pleasure. I mean, this has been a long time coming for us. you've been so inspirational for a lot of young people as well. And
Thank you.
I'm
man.
sure a lot of the younger people looking up to you as well will get a lot from this, man. So I really appreciate you coming through.
Yeah, thank you for allowing me to be here and use your podcast as a platform. And I'm grateful to be number one.
Our pleasure, mate.
Yeah.
Number one guest. Thank
Yeah.
you so much, man.
Awesome,
Thank you,
appreciate it.
guys.
Thank you.
Now, chess. Let's go.